Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of the SomerKnits podcast. This is a podcast where I discuss all of my knitting, works in progress, finished objects, and other fiber-related crafts, and where I just chat about what's inspiring me and what I would like to do and anything that comes to mind. I also hit on stash acquisitions and exchanges and project bags and other random this and that. So if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you are new here, it is so good to have you. I feel like I've been wanting to podcast for like weeks now, and something has prevented me every time. So I've had a couple of mini episodes come out since my last long one, but it's been a while since I was able to actually sit down and get out everything I wanted to say. So I'm super excited to be filming today. I just want to say that I may have to film this in chunks. I do have one kid home from school today, and eventually I'll have to go pick up the other one. They frown upon you leaving them there, so I just may have to go through this in segments. Also, I am going to hold a few things back for the next episode because otherwise I think we're going to be here for hours, and that seems a little excessive. So I'm going to jump right in. I hope that you have a project and you're comfy, or you are just where you can enjoy some chat and some fiber-related whatnots. You know, most podcasters are like, I have this cup of tea, or I have this latte, or I have this coffee, and I'm going to be real with you. It's like 105 degrees here, and there's not going to be any tea or latte or any kind of hot beverage. There's not even going to be a dainty little glass of water, because survival here is measured by the gallon. So we are just going to keep plugging away on that daily goal and chugging up the water, because otherwise it's just, I mean, we do have air conditioning, but when it's 105 outside, the air conditioning has a little bit of trouble really keeping up. So while it's tolerable in here, it's still not what most people would consider cool. So I'm going to start with my first finished object because that actually segues very nicely. This is the Outline Tank by Jessie made. And I'm going to stand up so you can see it. I made it longer than the pattern so that it does hit below the top of even my high-waisted shorts. I used Kelborn Woolens Mojave. Here's a yarn label. I love the yarn. A number of testers had used this yarn, so I figured it was a pretty safe bet. I love the yarn. I love the way it feels on and in my hands. It's not hot at all. It's very cool and breezy. It's a cotton linen blend. And this is such a comfortable, wearable top. My only issue is, and I'm going to insert a picture either here or at the end, showing you what it looked like fresh off the blocking mats. The straps have definitely lengthened. So they have stretched out a bit and they roll. So they end up curled up. I don't know how well you can see that. They end up very curled up on my shoulders no matter how many times each day I try to straighten them out. So I need to do one of two things because I'm constantly pulling it up right now. I either need to unpick the bind off and where it's the 3-needle bind off and where it's sewn, or I guess it's Kitchenered at the shoulders, but whatever. Or I could try throwing it in the washing machine and then the dryer and shrinking it up. So I'm not sure what the better solution is. Long term, it might be better to take some length out of the straps, so I'd get more wear from it between washes. But since it is cotton and linen, it could go in the washer and dryer. It's already a very, very soft linen though, and linen does soften up with use over time, which is great, but it's already super soft. So I'm not sure. You chance the cotton getting stiff sometimes in washing. It did not get stiff with blocking. It stayed very drapey, you can see it just kind of flows. So I'm undecided. Feel free to throw your opinion in the comments. I just can't decide if I want to take the straps up or try shrinking it first. I mean, I guess there's no harm really in trying to shrink it first unless it shrunk the body in because I do like the amount of drape it has right now. I like that it's loose and airy because it is going to stay hot here for a number of weeks. We are nowhere near fall. I'm kind of jealous of everyone else who says that autumn is close where they live because I have piles of sweaters that I just want to get out and enjoy. But patience, right? Speaking of sweaters, I did make a sweater since the last episode. I made a mini love note as a gift. A friend of mine's little girl is turning 1, and they're basically family. And so I made the 1 to 2 year old size. I probably went a little long on the length, which I'm okay with. And I'm a loose knitter, so I may not have totally gotten gauge. I did use the same size needles that I did for my love note and my daughter's love note, but instead of this being a sock yarn with a mohair, this is just a DK weight, and it was hand dyed by the Violet Valentine, and it was from her floral collection. And I'll insert all that in the notes. And then this is actually sock yarn held double. This is the leftover from my daughter's, the Manos del Uruguay. And so the collar and the cuffs are slightly thicker than the body, but I find that doesn't really bother me. They're very soft, and so I think, especially the neckline being right against the skin, I think it's actually really good. So, and then I put a little tiny tag on the back, and I did it on the outside because a lot of kids are bothered by tags on the inside. And it's fairly obvious because of the shaping, which is the front and which is the back of the sweater when you hold it up. But I just think having that tag on there is cute and gives it kind of a finished look. So this is blocked and ready to go. It's a gift for the party is this Saturday. So it will be out of here very shortly. It was another reason I really wanted to podcast so that I could actually show it and not just a photo. But I'm really looking forward to when the weather does cool off and hoping that I get pictures of this little girl in her sweater. And I'm hoping it fits for a while because since I did the body kind of long and the love note is meant to be potentially cropped if you want, as long as she grows just taller and doesn't outgrow it widthwise, she could still wear it for, I hope, a couple of years at least. So I'm excited about that one. It was such a quick knit. The love note is a great pattern. See, I'm constantly pushing the straps back on my shoulders, so that's the only problem with this tank. But anyway, the love note is a super easy lace pattern, and it's just really satisfying, and it's such a quick knit, and it's a very clear pattern. And I love that you get all the sizes in one pattern. So once you've bought it, you can just knit as many love notes as you want. So now I'm up to 3, and I'm not going to stop because it's so pretty. I kind of want to do, the one I did for myself was fairly fitted and fairly cropped, and I'd kind of like to do a looser, floatier one for myself at some point, but I don't know when I'll get to that because I have so many things that I want to work on. So I have another mostly finished object, and I say mostly finished because I have not blocked it yet, and I waited to sew in the ends until I tried it on him. But my son had picked out this Regia sock yarn at the local yarn store when we were there actually getting that Manos del Uruguay for my daughter's sweater, and he was like, I really want socks and a hat. And there's plenty of yardage. This is a DK weight, and it has 410 yards. So that's a lot because he's only 6. So I said, definitely we can get a hat and socks out of this because for a 6-year-old, you just don't need that much yarn. And I've already done the hat, and it still feels like a pretty full ball. So he picked out the Wind's Chief. Is that right? Yeah, Wind's Chief pattern by Stephen West. I let him look at some options. He wanted a fitted beanie, not a slouchy, and he wanted it in the rainbow. So he picked out that pattern and I knit it up. It only took a couple of evenings of knitting. And he's tried it on and he's already quite thrilled with it. But I waited to sew the ends in until he tried it on, just in case I needed to unpick the crown and redo the decreases if it was too small or something. But I am hoping that this blocks out softer than it is just in the ball. And my experience with Regia has been that it does. That it feels stiff and very toothy when you're working with it, and then it blocks out to where it just feels lovely. So hoping that, but also knowing that my son has so much hair. I mean, he's got very long hair, that it really won't be much on his skin. He'll probably push it back onto his hair. So I'm not too worried about it. And also it feels like it's going to make for very warm socks, which is really good because the school that my kids attend has a big emphasis on outdoors. So they go outside unless it's in the single digits Fahrenheit, so well below freezing. And you're just supposed to send appropriate outerwear. So I think having those thick, nice socks will be handy for him. I think he'll enjoy that. But this is the hat. And I know I had plenty of other things going, but over the weekend I just had this need to cast on something that would give me some instant gratification and be just a quick, but also something from my list because my list was getting so long. So getting his hat done both excited him and filled that need in me to like have something that just flew off the needles and really felt like I was accomplishing something. So I have that done. And another almost finished object, I mean, it's a half finished object because there's only one. I started these, apparently my hair is everywhere right now. I started these socks for my sister whose birthday isn't until October, but I started socks for her last Christmas and, well, right after Christmas. But anyway, I ended up giving them to my mom for Mother's Day because they came out bigger than I thought. And I don't generally swatch for socks, but it was the Thanksgiving pattern and it was the ribbed version, I think. Or maybe it was just the vanilla sock. There are 3 patterns. If you purchase the Thanksgiving sock pattern by Summer Lee, you get 3 patterns. And there's a cable. Oh, the lighting is just not great right there. So there's a cable cuff pattern, and you can see there's cables that run at the top of the leg all the way around. And there's a vanilla pattern and there's a ribbed pattern, and each one has a different heel, and you can mix and match the heels and everything, but it's a really well-written, great pattern. I'm a loose knitter. I don't swatch for socks. And also the one thing that the pattern, the reference that I used to figure out the length of the foot didn't account well enough for the toe. And the heel style in the one I did originally for my sister was a heel that was done, I want to say after. Anyway, it made it longer than I wanted or needed. And my mom's feet are bigger than my sister's. So I ended up giving those to my mom. And then I was digging through my yarn because, stash along with Inga and everything. Anyway, I was digging through my sock yarns and I had this green and navy sock set. So the bright green at the top, which this is all held double. So this sock is, you can either use a DK weight or fingering held double. The bright green is held with the variegated. The bright green was the mini skein. So I'm doing that for the cuff and the toe. I didn't think I'd have enough to do cuff, toe, and heel, although I might have. I don't know. I didn't want to chance it. And then, actually, I shouldn't have bothered because you can't really tell. Maybe you can in the right light. The cable part I used the variegated held with a solid navy because I was trying to get it to be a little less variegated on the cables. And in person, you can see the cables really well. They're not showing up well on the screen, but they show up really well in person. And then for the rest of the sock, it's just the variegated held double, and you can see that that gets a little busier than when it's held with a solid navy. So anyway, I got to do the second one still, but her birthday's not till October, and I just wanted to knock one out because I get second sock syndrome really bad, and it went really fast. I used size 4 9-inch circulars, and it just whoosh. So I really like the Thanksgiving socks. This is my third pair because I did the vanilla ones, I think, are the ones I gave my mom. And then I did the ribbed ones for my dad, if you remember the episode in the summer where I showed those for Father's Day. So these will be for my sister's birthday. So half finished object. Now, I think that's it for finished objects because I showed that Greyhound hat that I made for my cousin's dog in the episode 5.5, that little mini episode. So if you saw that, it was so adorable, and I can't wait for them to get it and hopefully send pictures. I know a number of people said, please show pictures once the dog has it on, and I totally want to. So I am waiting super impatiently for photos, but I didn't even tell them I mailed it yet because I just wanted it to be a total surprise. So I sent that along with baby hat, and I'm looking forward to those pictures. Baby's not due yet, but dog pictures anyway to start with. So let's move on to WIPs, and I have a lot of WIPs. So first, let's go to a kind of old WIP. So if you watched the bonus episode, you know that for the rest of the year, I am having a finish along, and there will be some prizes going through that. And anything that you have languishing that you just need motivation to get back to qualifies for the finish along. And I did start a Ravelry group. There's a finished objects thread and a chatter thread in there, but you can also just post on Instagram, and we're just going to use the hashtag #SKFinishAlong because it's not the first finish along anyone's ever had. So just so I can narrow it down for prizes, I will never draw only from the Ravelry group because Ravelry is not accessible to everyone. So there will always be the option to enter from either Instagram or Ravelry. So anyway, just post pictures, progress, finish objects, just be involved, and I will draw prizes along the way. I'm still kind of seeking out some, hopefully, donations for prizes. So if you know anyone who'd be interested, whether it's a pattern, stitch markers, yarn, project bag, it doesn't matter. I will cover postage to all the winners, and it will be open worldwide. I don't want to exclude anyone. So anyway, finish along. What did I grab to finish? Well, if you remember my first episode, I had started the Easy Eyelet cardigan, which has an eyelet yoke, no buttons, just an open drapey cardigan, and I was using some yarn that I've had since like 2006 or 2007, like a long time. And it's a cotton acrylic blend, and I don't even remember what I bought it for, but I'm pretty sure that I had a plan when I bought it because I bought an entire bag. So I think a full 10 balls. And I say balls because it comes in little balls. I'm going to grab it. Okay. So I never know if my husband actually needs something or if he's just calling to chat when he's at work. So anyway, phone call interruption, but I'm back. So I was talking about the yarn for this sweater, and it comes in tiny little balls, and the only thing I hate about yarn that comes in tiny little balls is the number of ends you have to weave in when you're done. So the number of times that you end up having to join a new ball. This is the Nashua hand knit Cilantro in Delft blue, and it is really pretty. Let's see. That's pretty accurate representation of the color. So I love this color blue. It's bright and happy, and I find blue just soothing and relaxing as well. And this yarn has so much bounce in it. And it is 70% cotton, 30% polyester. And it's so much bounce. So I have to be careful not to overstretch it when I'm knitting because I don't want to lose that. And it does like catch on itself quite a bit when I'm knitting with it. And that's just the nature of the cotton. But it just has so much bounce and stretch. So I think that that's going to be pretty cool. Did I block my swatch? No. But I'm pretty certain I know how the cotton polyester is going to behave after it's washed. So if you remember, all I had basically was the yoke, and I had just split for the sleeves, and that was it. So I have done a sleeve, and all of my little decreases are marked so that when I do the second sleeve, I can just copy all of my same little decreases and have the exact same amount of everything will be identical on the sleeves. Also, I got bored of turning, you know how when you're knitting sleeves on a garment that's already pretty big, you're constantly having to turn your work in your lap and whatever. I got tired of the whole sleeve thing for a little bit, so between finishing the first sleeve and starting the second sleeve, I actually added 1 ball's worth of length to the body. And it takes slightly more than 1 ball to do a sleeve. And I only have 3 full balls left, and then the rest of the ball that's on the sleeve I'm working now. So it's going to take a little bit of one of the 3 full ones to finish that sleeve. So then I think I'll save that partial to do the ribbing on the front, because you pick up, at least I think you do. I don't remember. I read the pattern so long ago. I just know that right now I'm working the body length and the sleeves. But I'm fairly certain that you pick up along both sides of the body, because otherwise it's just going to be curly, to do the ribbing. So the collar is already there, so you're not picking up all the way from one end to the other. The collar is there, and the bottom ribbing will be there, I think. Don't remember, like I said, gotta look it up. But there will be ribbing along the side, so I gotta save enough for that. But otherwise, I want to get as much length out of the body as I can, so I'm definitely going to use up, hopefully, every bit of yarn that I have in this. And then I will have a snuggly cardigan for fall, but because it is Oklahoma and it's not freezing until December usually, I wanted something kind of transitional. So the fact that it's cotton will be a nice transitional fabric. And you can see that it's going to have nice full-length sleeves that go slightly over my hand. And it will just hang open. And right now, you can kind of see the needles are going to pull on it a little bit. And it's going to roll. But so I'm already there, and I have 2 more balls, basically. And then I'll have that left over to do the ribbing. So it's getting there. So this is my first thing that I've picked back up to do for the finish along. And I've actually been getting a lot of joy out of it. It had gotten put in the naughty corner because I was afraid I was going to run out of yarn. And what had happened is one of the balls of yarn had fallen out. Oh, I'm tangled. Of the bag in the storage bin that it was in. And so when I was cleaning my craft room, I actually found that missing ball of yarn. And for some reason, mentally, that made all the difference in the world. Like, suddenly I was like, I'm not going to run out of yarn. I don't know. Anyway, it was where my brain space was. And so I was suddenly like, I can do that again. But then I was in the middle of other projects and I didn't get to it. And then finally, I had finished the baby love note, and I had finished this tank and everything, and I was like, that's like half done. I could actually have a finished thing. And knitting, I mean, I love the process, but I also feel really good when I make something that is useful. Like, I love to cook, and I love my garden, and it's just, I get very fulfilled by producing something that is actually useful. And I like to make pretty things too. I've made wreaths and things like that, and I guess they're useful as far as decoration and being uplifting and stuff. But like things that I can put on my body and wear, or other people put on their bodies and wear, things that get used. So a lot of the knitting that I used to do was gift knitting, because it felt good to me to give people things that they could use, whether it was whole sets of washcloths, or I made so many baby blankets, and full-size Afghans even for a while. And it just brings me fulfillment to make things that can be used. And so some of the things that I was working on were just like eternal stockinette, and I wasn't getting that finishing feeling. So I felt like I could get there with this, and I would get that really good feeling of no longer having it sitting in the naughty corner. Because sometimes I feel like unfinished projects can be their own kind of stressful, and we shouldn't let them be. You should only work on things that bring you joy, because that's why we do this, right? Because we love it. And I have totally gotten to the point where I will set something aside if it's not making me happy at the moment. But there's also a certain amount of like real satisfaction about finishing something that's been sitting for a while. So that's why I'm doing the finish along, and I really hope that you'll join me in that. And maybe it'll help you get through some things that you've been waffling on, and maybe those things will bring you a lot of joy in the end. So that is my Easy Eyelet Cardigan by Knit-A-Tude. Super simple drapey cardigan pattern. If you're looking for a basic cardigan, it does call for Aran weight yarn, but something where you're not going to have to do a bunch of color work, or a button band, or anything super complicated. Just a throw-on cardigan that is kind of a classic look. I love the eyelet look. I've got a number of patterns that I've downloaded with that kind of eyelet motif, whether they're sweaters or cardigans or even little t-shirts. But it just feels like something that could go with almost anything. You could throw it on over a dress, over a tank top, over a t-shirt, it doesn't matter. And I just think that it's going to be a really useful cardigan. I love like the old-fashioned stylized cardigans, but I feel like I have to be a lot more picky what I wear them with. And I feel like this is just a grab and run out the door, whether it's dropping the kids off at school or running to the grocery pickup or whatever. I just feel like it's just a really nice, simple pattern for that. So if you need something kind of mindless, and you don't mind purling, then that might be the pattern for you. So let's see. Other works in progress. I am still plugging away on my Fallen Lace tee, and I still adore the feel of the fabric. I'm really hoping it doesn't turn out too big, but when I hold up the ribbing to me and I measure it and stuff, it seems right. It compares well with the t-shirt, knitted t-shirt that I have, that I based the size I wanted off of. And this is the Knit Picks Cotton and Modal. I believe it's called Shine. This is the sport weight. So it is 60% Pima cotton and 40% Modal. And this colorway is called Wreath. But the first thing you do, I mean, after a little bit of ribbing, is you just knit stockinette to 37 centimeters. And clearly I'm not there yet. And then I'll divide for the front and back, and there will be the heart. Well, I mean, get past the sleeves, there's going to be a heart lace motif across the top. So that's why it's called the Fallen Lace Tee. And the pattern is written such that you can do 2 or 3 repeats of the heart lace. It just depends on the depth you want of the yoke. And I have very short shoulders, so I'm only going to do 2 repeats, but I love hearts. So I'm really looking forward to that. And you end up with a boat neck, basically, on the tee. So I think I'm really going to love it. It's just that I've been not mentally occupied by it. So it is the project I keep in my backpack right now and just work on when I have just a few minutes, or when I'm listening to a conference call, or anytime where I can't focus on a pattern, but I need to keep my hands busy, or I want to keep my hands busy, or I can just get a few stitches in, because it doesn't matter where I start and stop right now. I mean, yes, I have a beginning of round marker, but it's just stockinette forever. So still plugging away on that, but I wouldn't say that I work on it daily. So it may take a little while, just because it is that mindless occupy the hands pattern. I know a lot of people take socks to work on when they can't focus, or just throw those in their bag. But for me right now, it's just the endless stockinette of this. And it kind of felt that way when I was working on this as well. I just felt like it took forever for the body to get to the right length. Because sometimes when you're using small needles and you're just knitting around and around and around, the growth can feel really small, even though it's getting there. It just feels so slow sometimes. And I am distractible, and I like to watch TV while I knit and whatever, but I'm just going to keep this in my bag and keep plugging away at it, but it is not going to be the primary project. And I've shown this bag before, but this is a Sassy Sacks project bag. I think it is the large, and it cinches closed, and it's really pretty. It's bright blue, and I love it. So I have that work in progress. I did start my sea glass tee, but I need a lot of reassurance on this one, because goodness gracious, it just feels so slow. And I feel like the contrast in my yarn is low enough that I'm not sure if the 1x1 color work is worth it or not. I do love the fabric that it's making, though, so maybe that's what makes it worth it, if I'm going to love it in the end. I've not done any 1x1 color work before. I've not really done much color work at all in a long time. And back when I did do it, I did intarsia, so have not done stranded color work, like, at all. So I forgot about how it would end up double thick, and I mean, yeah, makes sense. But I forgot about that. So even though it's a t-shirt, it would not be a summer t-shirt where I live, because it would just be way too hot. I can barely wear a single thickness. Just going to throw that on the floor. I can barely wear a single thickness of a fingering weight wool t-shirt in Oklahoma in the heat. So it would be like a transitional piece, like spring fall shirt maybe. Anyway, this is, I'm gonna try and get closer, show you. This is the top of my sea glass tee. This is the yoke. And it is in the Creative Knitter Comfort Collection that I showed before. So individually, each of these balls is a distinct color. And then I'm also carrying a main color throughout the whole thing of the variegated. So yes, there's going to be a whole lot of cream in the shirt, there's also a ball of just cream. But I'm going to make a mess of this, and that's okay. So you can see that there's contrast when they're just sitting in balls side by side. But then, like, come back, purple. When I actually knit them up, like, it's very hard to tell the pink from the purple. The color value is so close. So the only one that's really distinguishable is the turquoise. So I feel like it's really obvious every round that I use the turquoise. And I'm not sure if that's going to give too much of a stripe effect or if I care. Also, since I'm carrying the same 5 yarns down the whole thing, it's not going to be reversible because I am carrying it all up the inside, and you know, that leaves a little ridge. So I'm just trying to decide if it's worth it, because dealing with 5 tangly balls for not a whole lot of benefit from the 1x1 color work, I don't know. I'd love to hear what you think, because I'm just really torn on this. I do think it's beautiful. I love pastels. I love the color that's coming through here. But is it just going to end up looking like a variegated yarn that has a turquoise stripe every 4 rows? Or is it actually going to end up as pretty as all those sea glass tea projects that you see out there? I don't know. Open to hearing what you have to say. It's such a slow project for me because, like, okay, I tried doing two-handed since it's 1x1 color work, and I cannot tension the yarn in my left hand to save my life. I've been knitting English thrower style for 20 years, and I cannot figure out how to keep tension with my left hand. It's like, and I can do a lot of things with my left hand. I can even write with it if I need to, but it's like I can't figure out how to hold the yarn. So I've gone back to both yarns in my right hand and just holding them both and flipping my hand back and forth, which is fine. It's just very slow for me. And so I only do, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 rounds on that of an evening and move on to something where my needles fly a little quicker. And that is on the evenings where I actually do work on it. So it's going to take a bit of time, but it is still in the active WIPs basket. I do love the look of the t-shirt. I think it's a really great design. I do not trust Magic Knot, so I'm not sure if I would ever make a scrappy one, because I would end up having to weave in 10,000 ends, because I just do not trust Magic Knot. Like, I know a lot of people do. People love it. Feel free to try and persuade me, but I have done a lot of knot tying in my theater work, and I just don't trust it. I'm not even 100% sure I trust fabric glue. So, I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you trust the Magic Knot? Do you not trust the Magic Knot? Do you use it? Have you made a sea glass tea? Tell me all the things. I need to know all the things. So, my next WIP. Do I have another WIP? I have potential WIPs because the Elfmail KAL starts September 1st, and I wound my yarn today so I can swatch tonight. I want to be totally ready to cast on September 1st. What did I do with the yarn? Different bag. Just a moment. Sorry for the crinkling. So, that's right. I put the yarn in my brand new Whiz Bags sweater bag. So I went to that fiber festival at the end of July that I've been dying to tell you about. I have a million acquisitions from it. Like, I have so much to say. But I'll go ahead and show this bag now, even though it technically goes with the fiber festival acquisitions. But beautiful bag. It is gorgeous dragonflies. And then the inside is bright orange. And one of the things that drew me to the bag was not just the dragonflies, but it was the bright blue, like, so pretty, and the bright orange together, because the college I went to was blue and orange, and it's just not a combination you see all the time. And I just was so drawn to it, and I went back to that booth like 3 times, and I was finally like, I just need the bag. So I had bought the yarn for this, for the Elfmail KAL and for another sweater. And then I was just like, might as well have a sweater bag. So it's really cool because it cinches and then has this lovely handle, and it's nice and big, and you can open it up and fold it over, and you have gorgeous bag, all ready for your sweater. So my Elfmail, and I have another skein of the gray. But I have this really lovely variegated yarn from 316 Dye Studio, I believe. I will link them below. And they were the nicest people. And they listened to me chatter on about what I wanted to make and waffle about what I was going to choose and talk about yardage and everything. Anyway, it was wonderful experience. I really enjoyed their booth. I could have bought everything in it if I could have afforded that, because they just had gorgeous yarns. But this is called Mrs. Peacock, and I'm not sure how well you can see the color. It's reading a little dark on the screen, but there's a lot of turquoise and purple and blue tones, and it's just a very pretty variegated yarn. There are some lighter sections, but not really true white. Like maybe a few little specks of true white peeking through, but not a lot. Mostly you've got these nice deep colors just running into each other. And then there's this lovely gray from Show Me Yarns, and it's called Ash Grove. And it's just a pretty kettle dyed gray, and I don't know if you can see any of the variation here because it's very subtle. And once again, it's reading dark on the screen. But I did do the test of taking a black and white photo of them next to each other to see how much contrast I had. And I've got about a medium contrast. It's not the highest, but it's also not 0. So this one definitely shows up darker in a black and white photo than this one does, especially in proper lighting. There's a window right there. So I'm really excited about casting that on. And this designer, she's a small designer, but she has donated a coupon code for her other pattern that is available via Ravelry or as a PDF download. And she said she's going to send me a coupon code for Ravelry, but if Ravelry is not accessible to the winner, then absolutely 100% she will just send you the pattern as a PDF, which is awesome. She was super nice, and I'm really excited that she is going to support our knit-along by offering her other sweater pattern as a prize. I just think that that's really cool. And I have some other prizes lined up. The Elfmail KAL, if you didn't watch the mini video or you just don't remember, starts September 1st and runs through November 30th. And there will be a few prize drawings along the way. There will be some for progress and at least one for just finished objects. And so there is a Ravelry thread, but there is also the Instagram hashtag #SKElfmailKal, and you can use that to post the whole way through. And at the end, we will have, like I said, prize random drawing of the finished ones, but along the way, we will have some participation prizes. So I hope that you can join me for that. I'm really excited. I queued that pattern when she published it originally. Like, it showed up in my feed and I was like, oh, yes, yes. Just because the texture was so interesting. But then I watched Heather and Hops, the lovely cat, and she had done one and was doing a second one, I think. And it was just so gorgeous. And she talked about how easy it was. So I finally actually bought the pattern and read it. And I was like, wow. So you're not holding 2 yarns at once. You only have to work with 1 at a time. So if you're afraid of color work or it just drives you crazy to go that slow like me, totally could be right up your alley because you get that color work look and that really interesting texture without having to deal with multiple yarns at one time. So then I talked to Brogan of Woolly Witchcraft and she was like, I have bought yarn for 2. And I was like, sweet, do the knit along with me. And, you know, we did that ranunculus knit along, which was so much fun, and I believe it's still going for her. I did announce the winner for the cinnamon roll stitch markers in my last podcast, but in case she missed it, her Instagram name was Knits by a Hobbit, and now I think it's the Knitting Hobbit or A Knitting Hobbit. She started a podcast, and I think she has 3 episodes out right now. I've watched the first 2. I haven't caught up with the 3rd one yet, but I loved them, so you should go give her a watch if you're looking for a new podcast. She has some very cute finished objects and works in progress. I really enjoyed her first few podcasts, so I'm excited that she won and happy to ship those stitch markers off to her as soon as we can connect. So if you're watching, I do need you to email me your shipping address so I can send you those cinnamon roll stitch markers right away. So, Elfmail KAL, totally swatching tonight. Very excited about that. I don't have anything else like super actively in progress right this moment, but I have a ton of acquisitions and a lot of plans. So, I talked about that fiber festival. I gave myself a budget and I stuck to it. I took cash so that I wouldn't spend beyond my budget and I'd know exactly how much I had left without having to like add up receipts or anything. And so I was proud of myself for that. I did stay within my budget. But I got that yarn for the Elfmail like I showed you. And now I'm sure you'll be totally shocked by the color palette of this next yarn. And please forgive the crinkling. I got 3 skeins of this Show Me yarns in, the colorway was marked as Osage Beach, but they said it was mismarked and they were going to let me know the name of the colorway. So if I get an email from them telling me what the colorway name is, because they did take my email address, I'll let you know. Because it had been mislabeled and it was very close to their Osage Beach colorway, but not exactly the same. So it is a 75-25, so superwash merino, nylon, and stellina. 100 grams is 400 yards, so I have 3. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Oh, there's some sparkle. Let's catch the light, sparkle. So some sparkly yarns are really rough, and this yarn is not. It is still like super soft. I have other sparkly yarns that are just, they're a little too scratchy to be like on my skin all day long. And not scratchy in a wool way, just scratchy in a plasticky way. Does that make sense? So just a difference in what's used for the sparkle. But this is, like I said, superwash merino, nylon, and stellina. And it is Show Me yarns, and it's beautiful. And then I went across the aisle to a chick that knits and got this baby Surrey alpaca and mulberry silk that's just, I want to swim in it and just lounge in it. Oh, it's so soft. So I got 3 of that as well. And the plan is either going to be, let's see, 3, so pretty. So the plan is either to use all of this for a Pink Fizz by Andrea Mowry, or there is a sweater called the Rainy Day sweater that is more of just a textured yoke and then textured down at the hemline right before the ribbing. So it's enough yardage for either one in my size. And I haven't really decided. The Pink Fizz is beautiful and it's been in my queue for a while. The Rainy Day sweater would knit up faster just because the body is stockinette instead of lace, but I may get more satisfaction out of doing the lace work on the Pink Fizz. So I don't know. I believe the Pink Fizz actually calls for kid silk mohair, maybe. But I just have this love affair with Surrey alpaca. Like, mohair is fine, but Surrey alpaca is like amazing. So, like I said, I can just cuddle this yarn all day. I'm sure you're super shocked by the color palette because I'm just having a very mint year, and that's okay because I feel like it looks pretty good on me. I really enjoyed having mint hair over the summer. The light pink definitely gets less compliments than the mint did, so mint must have just looked better on me. Anyway, so those things came from the Fiber Festival. I also got a really beautiful roving wreath. Maybe I will grab that and insert some footage. Because it is hanging on the wall in my office. I didn't want anybody to smush it or set anything on it or pick at it because it's just roving. But it's gorgeous, and I was babysitting a friend's booth, and the lady across the way was making all these gorgeous roving wreaths and came over and bought some of the roving that Angora Jane had in her booth, and she was picking colors that were totally up my alley, like the colors I was just showing you. And I was like, what are you going to make? And so she told me she was going to make like a winter themed wreath. And I was like, I want first dibs. I want to see the finished object and I want first dibs. And she did bring it over when she was done to show me. And I was like, sold. So I brought that home and I'm super excited about it. And I can't wait till it's winter and I can hang it down in the living room. But right now it's just bringing me joy up on the wall in my office / craft room, which I know I filmed a number of episodes in there, but it's so dark and I have to use so much artificial lighting that I'd rather not. And the shelves are all messy and stuff and just, I don't think, make for the best background. And I think that I'm more relaxed, better talker to the camera when I'm not at a table. Tell me if you think that's true or if that's totally me like reading into it and psyching myself out or whatever. But I just feel like I'm a little bit more animated when I'm not like leaning on a table. So downstairs in my bedroom now in my little knit corner. And the wreath is upstairs, of course. But back to what I got at the Fiber Festival. So if you remember, I had this 2 skeins of alpaca from the farmer's market that I had showed in one of my previous videos. So it was this. It's a brown and a silver that have been plied together, and the color is Sooner and Smoky because those are the names of the alpacas. So very pretty, medium tone brown and silver, but it was only 440 yards and about a sport to DK weight maybe when you like hold it up. So I found a good color match for the brown in 100% alpaca that is another 200 yards in the same weight. It's a DK weight. It's reading really dark here. Anyway, it is actually a very good match for the brown that's in there. So I thought I could extend the yardage of that by using the solid for like collar, cuffs, bottom ribbing, all of that, just to give me more room to play with on the yardage. And then in order to give it stability, because alpaca is like, you know how I'm having trouble with this linen like growing and everything? Alpaca is super drapey and it doesn't have any stitch memory really. It just hangs, which is great. It's really soft and I love it and everything. But as far as sweaters go, it gets very shapeless. So in order to give the alpaca stability, I am going to hold it double with another 316 Dye Studio. This is their Emerald sock. It is outside of my normal color scheme, but so is the brown and silver alpaca, and I've had it so long that I wanted something that wasn't super high contrast. Like I didn't want to do a bright with those earth tones. And this deep green is still a cool color, but lower contrast with the alpaca. So, let's see if we can get you some good lighting here. Yeah, I don't know. So you can see how that's a much lower contrast, and I'm going to be able to hold this fingering weight double with this DK. And I have enough yardage of that I'll be fine. And I'm actually going to do a Felix sweater with it. And there's enough yardage here to do that. So I'm kind of excited because that looks like a fairly quick knit. The detailing is all in the raglans at the top. So, and then it's a fairly basic sweater after that. So I'm pretty excited about that. So the green will be throughout the whole thing. So I'll hold it double with both the solid and the plied silver and brown. And I think that it's just going to make for a really nice sweater. I just don't know when I'm going to get to it because Elfmail KAL first. But I feel like maybe this will be right after that. I also have, plans for kid knits for my kids for fall. A sweater for my daughter. The socks I already mentioned for my son. And then I got my Southern Skeins Knot Sock Yarn box. I'm excited to show you this. So the theme in August was Fireflies. And so I was kind of excited knowing that because I had asked ahead of time. I like a good surprise, but I didn't want any more earth tones, which there's nothing wrong with earth tones. I just, I have plenty from before I moved my color palette into what's more appropriate for me. And so I have plenty of that for gift knitting, and I just don't need any more earth tones. So I was kind of excited about Fireflies. She said it was going to be bright and interesting, and she did tell me it was going to be a sparkle yarn. So I was like, okay, I'm good with that. So first is the Firefly project bag that came with the Knot Sock Yarn box. Super cute print there. And then it's 2 skeins of what she calls Firefly on the Glisten DK base, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So sparkle like the other one I just showed you. It's more subtle sparkle. So it just kind of catches the light occasionally. And because it's subtle, and because it's this neon yellowy greeny fading into this gray charcoal black, I think that I am going to do a sweater for my son and get a black DK, like a solid black, to go with it. And I found a pattern. I'll link it because I can't remember the name of it. It was something really basic, like super simple raglan or something. And the top was solid. And then the body, after you came back together under the armholes, was striped. And I think it'd be really cool to do the solid part and some of the stripes in this and have the contrasting stripes be like a true black, like a solid dark, not sparkly. I don't know, tell me what you think. Because I also thought it could be nice with a charcoal that had slightly less, like, distinctive contrast. But he's, like I said, he's only 6, so it doesn't take a ton of yardage. So I've got these 2 skeins of DK, and then I would have one more skein because the stripes. And I think that would be really cute. So let me know what you think. Like the sparkle for a boy doesn't bother me at all. I don't think sparkles have a gender. And because those sequin flippy shirts are like super in for everybody, he's got a ton of sequin flippy shirts. So I don't think sparkle would bother him either. I think it's really cute. So I got really excited when I saw that because I had a casual sweater outlined for my daughter and a slightly nicer sweater ready to go, like planned out to do for my son. But I saw that and I was just like, that could totally be a school sweater. Like he could just wear it all the time. It came with a stitch marker that I don't think you can see it very well. There's gold flecks in there. So you've got the shiny Firefly theme going on. And then this really cool sticker. I love stickers. So it says Starry Skies and Fireflies. And it's super cute. And there was also a pomegranate raspberry tea. She always includes a tea with all of the boxes, the sock box and the not sock box. So, and I love a good cup of tea. And then there's also a suggested pattern every month. So there's like a coupon code for a pattern that comes on your card that tells about it. And it's a slouchy hat in this one, but I really think, I mean, the yarn just spoke to me when I opened it up and said, no, you need to make a sweater for your son. Like, this is what I need to be. So I'm feeling that right now. Anyway, let me know what you think. Always happy to hear your comments. Read your comments, whatever. Make this a conversation. Be interactive. So then I had more of the minis from the summer, the cottage collection summer minis that I told you about from Clark and Elle. So there was another green one, greeny yellow color, more greeny than yellow. But then the next week I got really excited because I opened up this super bright one. And so it still has green, but it also has blue and pink. And I thought that was fun. And then there was another blue, like a kettle dyed blue almost. I love blue though, so I'm good with that. And then more of a sky blue, but with some flecks in it. And then this pink, and the pink is pretty. It's a pastel pink, but then it's just got like 3 flecks of blue in it, which seem so odd and out of place. There's just not enough of them, maybe. I don't know. My screen totally went off, so I have no idea if the video froze. But I just don't feel like there's enough flecks of the blue for it to make sense. It almost just looks like when you get Sharpie on your clothes. I don't know. I'll have to see what it looks like actually knit up. I really think that all of these minis are going to go into a habitation throw, so I'm not sure it's going to bother me at all anyway. I really want to do a habitation throw. I'm just not sure when I'm going to get around to it because I'm just still super in garment mode right now. And as much as I love the idea of a knitted blanket, I don't know how much I'll use it because a lot of times when I sit down, so does a dog or a kid. I'm not as worried about the kids as I am the dogs. But anyway, so we are getting close to finishing the 13 weeks of summer in the minis. Oh, I forgot stuff from the Fiber Festival, the actual fiber. So while I was babysitting my friend's booth because she was teaching a class, I finished spinning up some fiber that I got at the same Fiber Festival like forever ago. And I'm not sure if you're going to get a good look at that color because there's a lot going on in there. There's like specks of a really deep red and purple in the blue. It's called Admiral, I think, Admiral Blue. Anyway, so I spun this up, and it's pretty, but that's all of it that I had, like not even a super full bobbin. So in order to have enough yardage to actually make something, as a thank you for watching the booth, my friend let me pick out a certain number of ounces of roving. So I had 4 ounces of the blue. So I went for low contrast, and I got 4 ounces of this like steely gray. And I am going to spin this up and ply them together. Maybe some light from the window. Anyway, I'm going to ply them together, and then I want to do a hat for my husband, because I feel like it'll be the first thing I've made for somebody, like real thing, with my own hand spun. And so I just feel like the colors are good for him, and I think that that would be special, because I've made him a lot of hats, but I just feel like that would be really special, to have put start to finish so much time into it. And then the other color I got was this coral. It's like a bright coral. And it's so pretty, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I bought this braid from Frabuous Fibers. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Hand dyed in Vermont. And it came from that same fiber festival. It's just so pretty. Anyway, because this is only 4 ounces also, and I got 4 ounces of the coral, I may spin the coral up and spin this up and ply those together as well, because that'll give me more yardage out of that. But I'm going to see how fine I can spin it up, because I am not the most consistent spinner in the world at this point in time. I don't spend enough time with my spinning wheel. I was telling a friend, we were talking online, and I love to spin, especially like in a social setting where other people are spinning also, and we're talking and whatnot. But I get itchy after a while. Like, I'd rather be knitting. So I don't end up putting as much time into it, because like I'll spin for a while and then I'll be like, I could be knitting. So as much as I love the idea of the start to finish, I also love the finishing. So I just have a harder time focusing on the spinning, because I feel like the knitting is closer to finished objectness. So there's that, but I feel like putting some time into it for a hat for my husband, and then probably a hat or something for myself, or a little like some kind of tiny decorative shawly swoopy thing to wrap around my neck, even though I don't wear those as often as I think I'm going to when I make them. So something to think about. But I also, like I said before, Oklahoma is not the coldest place in the world, and I don't always wear hats either, because if I'm on my way to work or whatever, I have really fine hair, and it's very easy for it to end up just like super flat. So those are my acquisitions. Oh, except I did get my sock yarn box. Hold on. It was hiding behind the computer. So this one just came. This is my Southern Skeins sock yarn box for August. I'm not going to be able to keep getting both. It's crazy. I need to make decisions. But the main skein is Butterfly. The mini skein is Dance. So you get 92 yards in the mini skein, 463 yards in the main skein, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Lots of purpley and some hot pink, which is really cool. I think that my daughter would love those colors. She's very into purple right now. Pink used to be her favorite color, but like purple's the thing right this moment. So could be something there for her, whether it is a pair of socks or another hat. I asked her if she wanted a new fall hat, and she can't decide. So we'll see. I'll show it to her, and maybe it'll be her thing. But also this Slow Down Little Butterfly. Cute little butterfly stitch marker. Or progress keeper, I guess it opens. And then a sample size of the Eucalyptus Wool Wash in Grapefruit, which I adore grapefruit scent, so I'm very excited about. I didn't even know they had that one. And then once again, it's a Raspberry Pomegranate tea from Stash, so very excited about the sock yarn box. I didn't expect it to be here before I filmed, because sometimes, excuse me, sometimes it takes a whole lot longer for it to get here from Florida than I think that it should. But the Postal Service has had some definite issues. Things just aren't moving as fast as they used to. So I had really thought it wasn't going to make it until after I filmed. But I was pleasantly surprised and super excited for that to come in the mail. So I think that I've covered everything for today. I know that got super long, or at least I feel like it got super long. I guess I won't know until the editing. But I am going to do a Q&A bonus episode from all the questions from episode 5 and do a random draw of those comments when I film that episode for the winner for those stitch markers. I did bring the stitch markers down, but I haven't put them on one of my little holders yet. So let's see if I can show you these. These are the twisted silver wire and pretty little amber gems. They're like long oval shaped amber gems. I don't know. Yeah, you can see those, I think. Anyway, there's a set of 5, and there might be another surprise in there that I'm not necessarily going to mention. But I will draw for that set of stitch markers when I film that Q&A episode. So I am going to leave those comments open on episode 5 for a bit longer, and then I will draw for that. And thank you to everybody who submitted a question already. It was super hard not to just straight up answer them all as they came in, because one of my favorite parts about podcasting is the conversation and interaction that I do get with you all. So every like, every subscribe, every comment like means so much to me, because I am a stuck-at-home extrovert, and the pandemic has been really hard for me. I get just super frustrated about not being able to go out and just be with people. And there's a whole lot where I live right now, a lot of new cases with the variant and everything. So feeling like we've regressed back into hiding from people. And I need people in my life. And I know we all need people, even introverts need people, but I just need that interaction. So I just really love every time there's a comment or a question or anything. And like I said, the likes and the subscribes, it just means everything to me. And I don't do this like to get a certain number of followers or anything. I just do it for community, for meeting other people in the knitting world and just being a part of the greater knitting community. So if you have a podcast that wants to do something cooperatively, or if you want to join in on one of my Knitalongs, or if you would like to donate a prize for anything. Oh, prizes. Sue, Crafty Knitter 7, has donated prizes for both Knitalongs. And they are super cute snap bags, and I left them on my bed. Hold on. Sorry if that took too long. Okay, so first, she and I did a swap. If you remember the Southern Skeins sock yarn that I got 2 skeins of that I didn't love, Sue liked it, and it was her thing, and it wasn't my thing. So she made me a couple of these pretty snap bags. So the inside of this one is the bright blue that I adore, and the outside is like skeins of yarn, and it's like sock project size, and you can fold it down. And she sent me a sample of Soak in Lacy, and then another bag. The lining on this one is more of like a pinky color, and the outside is adorable sweaters and winter fall motif. So I love it. She let me pick my outside fabrics, and then also sent me a stitch marker of my name. How cool is that? I was super excited about that. Thank you, Sue. Like, really, really excited, probably to a silly degree. But, and then these amazing purple stitch markers with a little purple pom-pom. So I've been keeping it all together and not using it until I could show it because I didn't want to lose anything, or forget to grab it. So then also this adorable little glass bottle of the light bulb shaped stitch markers. I love that. So they're all going in my stitch marker stash now. But what you really need to see are the prizes that she donated for the Knitalongs. So first we have another little project bag, and it is a mitten motif on the outside, and it is the really pretty, I'm trying to get some light on it, dark blue on the inside. And she also added in like a stocking cap stitch marker and little red stitch markers. So full set of stitch markers and a project bag from Crafty Knitter 7. You should check out her podcast, Distant Stitches. I think she's on episode 17, 18. I don't remember. Check it out, Distant Stitches. And then this one is once again the skeins of yarn motif, and a white pom-pom stitch marker with these little beaded stitch markers to go with it. So we have this prize, and this prize, and one of them will be for the finish along, and one of them will be for the Elfmail KAL. I don't know which, but anyway, they will be prizes for the Knitalongs, and I'm trying to keep them like super nice and away from children and everything else, so I'm keeping them all wrapped up the way she sent them. So very excited about those prizes. Please join me in these Knitalongs, and I hope to have more prizes to share with you as we continue. I'm hearing dog noises, and it's time to go pick my kiddo up from school. So thank you so much for joining me. I would really love to hear what you're working on, what's on your list, like what really is inspiring you, just anything. Chat with me in the comments. And if you enjoyed the episode, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you join us here more often. You can just click that little button, but no pressure. It's totally okay if you're just stopping by. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.